Salut tout le monde, on se retrouve aujourd'hui pour un nouvel épisode de Genshin Impact, le 45e. Donc on va tout de suite commencer la suite de la semaine dernière. Donc là on avait rendez-vous au village, donc on s'y rend et on va parler au monsieur. Donc c'est Maïru, c'est à lui qu'on doit parler me semble.
Precisely. It's much too sudden. The children are desperate for you to take them out to play.
That must be the guy Ayaka told us about. Let's go over and see.
Alors hop, on va parler à papy et mamie.
If you want my opinion, something to do. It's clear that Tejima had done nothing wrong, and still they confiscate. I can't claim to fully understand it, but I could tell that he'd lost something very important to him. He went off on a walk, alone. Truth be told, we aren't sure whether trying to keep him here is the right thing to...
Seems like he's a well-respected...
On va parler à la mamie maintenant, elle s'appelle Maïru.
You must also. Tejima has protected this place, keeping out the treasure hoarders, fending off any monsters that draw near, resolving quarrels. But now, all of a sudden, he says he plans to leave her. We will gladly apologize if that's the case.
Attends, je suppose qu'on va lui parler à lui. Voilà.
You must be Tejima. So what's
Me? It's not a question of why I want to leave, but a question of true. But that's... And what made me want to come here 30 years ago? I don't have answers to those questions, because I can't remember anymore. In the past, I knew I wanted to stay here. But whatever resolve I had then, it's gone now. So...
Okay. Well, in that case, if we help you... But if you can't Oh! Maybe if you just try a little harder to...
Oh, that reminds me. Last time I
keep a diary?
Oh yes.
On a perdu la mémoire, donc en gros le divin ça te fait oublier, ça te fait passer ta mémoire.
You saying at the time that you...
Perfect! So if we want to keep Tejima from leaving, we just need to find his diary. It must be a...
If you don't mind, we will leave you to find the diary. We should head back to the village to inform the others of Tejima's situation.
Allez, c'est parti. Je dois chercher dans cette zone. Bah, le livre il est là. Hein.
This looks like Tejima's done. Let's see what we... Today, the villagers and I got together to cook dry braised. Today, I helped rescue a kid who had fallen in the water. After I pulled him out, he told me that his best friend Bamboo... I went kite flying today. The string broke, so I chased after it as fast as I could.
Ok, donc là, elle lit ses histoires.
I went to pray at the shrine again today and stayed there a while. The Omamori you gave... Now that's the kind of info we're looking...
Allez, on va au sanctuaire.
So this is the... interesting. Looking at the color and the design... But anyway, if he had this with him all the time, there's a chance... That the soil looks like it's been disturbed. Must be something pretty amazing if... It looks like a letter. Konda Village. Sounds so familiar. Where is that
Ok.
So the reason Tejima, but he's been here for 30 years. Well, let's go give Tejima.
Ok. Hop, on va lui rendre ses affaires.
I'll be. It's certainly my. Still, it's clear that I was waiting. Over the years, I must have made a note of anything interesting. And just look at all the things. How could I have forgotten something so important to me? Love? Regrets? No. After all, I've forgotten who she was. It's as if she'd never been in my life to begin with. As if... I think... maybe not. If this is something... Although... what if she were to turn up eventually? Only to find I didn't... When I think about it like that... How curious. Why am I thinking like this when I don't even remember...
Bon, ça c'est mission réussie.
Tejima seems to be dealing okay. Seems it's just like Ayaka and Tomo were saying. If you lose your vid, that certainly explains the... At least we were able to...
Donc voilà, on a réalisé la mission avec cette personne. Maintenant, on se rend au prochain point. On va se TP juste à côté ici. Alors, c'est le gros monsieur du coup, enfin le gros monsieur, le grand monsieur plutôt.
They're the ones responsible for maintaining law and order in Inazuma. The ones actually enforcing the Vision Hunt decree. But why would they take action against one of... Paimon doesn't get it. Huh? There seems to be some commotion over there. Let's go see what's happening.
I'll ask one more time. Do you intend to withhold this month's emergency
The entire clan is counting on that food. How many times do I have to say it? I don't know any...
You dare deceive us? Those provisions are essential. Do you understand? Not some good...
You samurai think you can just do whatever you please? The Tenryou Commission will hear of this!
Oh, huh? And who are you?
What? We heard the commotion and came to see what...
I see. You seem to have come just at the right time. This is Kurosawa. He's a samurai and a member of the Shogun's army. They issue in the past, we'd simply ask him for provisions and everything would be delivered. He's keeping the provisions for himself, I just know it. We'll starve without them.
No one seems to care about us. We used to... It's no wonder all the visions have been confiscated. The Raiden Shogun doesn't need people...
This must be one of the people Ayaka asked us to help. Maybe we should talk to Kurosawa.
On va lui parler sûrement. Voilà.
I've never even heard of these. I don't know whether it's rumors or whether they're trying to blackmail me. But either way, my own family can barely get by as it is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got other matters. And that's the first bit of truth I've heard all day. The Shogun's army told me that I was unworthy of my vision. And they said I was slacking off in my work.
Well, that's strange. You were helping enforce the Vision Hunt decree.
To be perfectly honest, all I know is that I will perform certain things every month. And it's not just that.
Does it have to do with the missing emergency provisions?
Donc à chaque fois ils ont des trous de mémoire et des oublis, ok.
Like I said, if I was taking them for myself, I wouldn't be... To top it all off, my house was just raided by treasure hoarders. Which is why I came here in the first place. If you don't believe me, go find the treasure hoarders.
But we better confirm. We
Allez,
should
go.
be able to follow their tracks.
Des pilleurs. Hein.
What's the hurry?
ça doit être eux.
We really outdid ourselves this. All those samurai houses packed with goods. You haven't seen anything. Today's just the beginning.
You demand, boss.
These seem like the treasure hoarders.
Allez, go. Ça c'est fait.
Oh, there goes all the Mora. Come on, boss. Not bad, kid. You ever think of joining the treasure hoarders? We could use someone like you, Kurosawa. So he's the one who sent you after us, huh? Just our luck. I knew we shouldn't have hit that place.
So what did you see inside? Was it
Food supplies. You kidding? That place was a complete mess. All we found, I didn't want anyone else to see it.
Ok, donc c'est même pas eux finalement.
How about we make a deal?
you've got a deal? Now show us.
Huh? What the?
There's nothing in here, but I...
Yeah. Oh, and they all seem to be made out to the owner of a general. We better talk to this Miss Aoi and get to. As for you guys, you're free to go.
So, we redeemed ourselves for some...
Shut it.
Bon, on va aller voir ce qui se passe à l'épicerie. Est-ce que je peux pas me TP? Si, parfait. Gagner du temps là-dessus. Il est juste à côté en plus.
Welcome to Tsukumomono Groceries, or perhaps the... Ah, so you're friends of Kurosawa, I take it?
Whoa! Let's not get ahead of. How did Kurosawa end up owing you so much money?
Let me think. Kurosawa would come regularly to purchase large quantities of foodstuffs. However, the price of provisions began to skyrocket recently, and his salary was no longer enough to cover the cost. So
that's how he was getting those But why did he have to purchase a usual amount?
well, if you think about it, the citizens receiving the emergency provisions must have been carefully calculated. Kurosawa thought that it would be quite the disappointment for them if they found... So he deemed it necessary to take on the debt.
Wow. And no one ever appreciated what he did.
People's attitudes will always
Ok, donc c'est même pas lui, il préfère s'endetter. Donc il faut trouver où sont passées ses ressources du coup.
As for why he chose to spend his own money on emergency provision, if you're still curious, why don't I see? That reminds me, most unfortunate. If he doesn't clear the debt on his name, he'll have no choice but...
Sword? What sword?
Oh, didn't he tell you? I've asked him about its origins. He told me that it was a gift from his... In hindsight, I regret that I never made an... Why don't you ask him about the sword yourself? Perhaps it'll... Oh, but before you go...
But...
Information... Don't worry. I won't charge much for information about Kurosawa.
At least we now know where the emergency... Let's go talk to Kurosawa.
Mais je vois pas le rapport avec l'épée. Enfin...
What are you doing?
I presented them with a choice. Either they left. It turned out to be a real time saver, actually. Did you manage to track down the treasure hoard?
That just about sums it up. It turns out that you really were distributing...
Strange. Is that... I don't really have any such recollection. Why was I purchasing emergency provisions for everyone? And why would I... But I could not deny that when I brandished my sword to scare those two away... This sword was... I remember once when I was young. I wanted to sneak out with the blade and show it off to the... What did he say? It would seem that I forgot.
Moi aussi je veux son épée, elle a l'air stylée.
All I can remember now is my father telling me, This blade bore his life's creed. And said to me,
Hey, if you look carefully, there seems... Can you recognize the words?
virtue? Somehow those two words seem to explain taking on seemingly endless debts to make others happy. But what use of virtue and justice? I purchased... The Tenryo Commission seized my vision. And the very people I was so... And the irony of all of it is, I'm incapable of being a good person. Yet I'm equal...
Yet another trouble. When we get the chance, let's speak... In any case...
Bon, ça c'est la deuxième...
So off that... Yeah.
C'est la deuxième personne qu'on a aidée, et à chaque fois c'est un problème d'œil divin.
Have a vision. Let's go find the next porcelain.
C'est vrai que notre perso a des pouvoirs de ouf sans œil divin, et ça c'est ouf. C'est que la win, que la win, que la win, que la win. On va passer par là. Ils sont l'un à côté de l'autre, c'est génial.
Vision taken. If Hyman heard that this is his dojo.
Nanako, don't worry. Since those thugs that challenged the dojo were strong, but
Ça doit être un élève lui.
Maybe, but things have gotten dangerous before in the past, but it's never shaken.
it's just because he's been possessed. That's all. Once the exorcism has taken place,
Hey there.
who are you? Don't care whether you're trespassers or just here to harass us while Sensei is impaired. Don't make me draw my blade, or you won't live.
No, you got it so wrong. We just came here to...
Disciples.
Yep. We've heard all about the mighty master of Meikyo Shisui art, but then we got here and overheard you talking about how he...
From the way you're dressed, please, accept my apologies. We've had so many people try- You haven't arrived at the best of times, I'm afraid. Sensei got possessed recently. I see you are earnest in your pursuit. Okay. Sensei's name is Domon.
Ok, donc là il va nous expliquer son histoire, je suppose.
Though self-taught, he mastered the art of the sword to a high level. He once said that his goal was to become the best sword master in the world. And so, even while training us, he continued to hone his own art. But then...
Not long ago, Sensei had his vision. He says the strangest things over and over. Junya and I have discussed it, and we both think that he's been possessed by... But if I'm honest, I still have my doubts over whether...
The Grand Narukami...
You haven't heard of it? It's the largest shrine on Narukami Island. The head shrine maiden is not that we'd have any means of involving the head shrine maiden, of course. But even one of the so don't worry, Nanako. Sensei is... The exorcism will take place this evening. You're both...
So, losing your vision can cause...
On vient de lui parler.
So you decided to come just now. When Nanako...
Ah oui, c'est le moment de l'exorcisme. On a de la chance, j'ai pas passé à la nuit.
Some of them we knew. One of them was Anzai. He used to be a fellow disciple. Sensei wouldn't stop calling his name. The ritual has now begun. Please, excuse me for a moment while I...
Eh mais lui, on l'a déjà vu quelque part lui.
Huh? Who's that sneaking around? We won't let them get away with it.
Alors je peux me tromper, mais on dirait le père de la première...
Seems they aren't here. Should we keep going further up? Is this definitely the right place? Let's look a little further up. Aha! Suspicious person sighted! That's gotta be...
How? Are you sure you're Domon's? Unless... I Guess it's been...
Excuse me? We're the one, and what are you doing sneaking around these parts?
Bad news? I'll have you know I don't care to talk about that time anymore. But if you must know, I am...
His senior?
Anzai. Yes, that's me. Because I don't wish to see Domon or anyone else associated with him. When we were young, we trained under the same sword master. I had begun training 5 years before him, and everyone looked up to me as practitioners of Make Yoshi's Sui art seek to achieve stillness of mind.
Ouais, donc lui c'est un peu le mec jaloux quoi.
Domon was different. The first thing he did when he joined was go straight to our sensei, and sensei scolded him and told him that the art of the sword should not be used for such vain end. I thought so too at the time, but Domon began making... Only then did I realize that it was Domon who had long since... He was consumed by his singular desire to become the best in the world. He sought nothing less than perfection in the art of the sword.
Sure sounds like he meant business.
Because until he arrived, I was convinced that I would see... Of all the disciples, I was the most gifted. I had trained the longest. Domon's arrival changed everything.
Ouais, donc il est jaloux en fait. Et c'est lui qui l'a évincé, ok. Mais son histoire va pouvoir nous permettre de le remettre en tête ce qu'il est devenu Domon.
After that, I wanted nothing further to do with him. Deep down, though, I still respected him. So, when I heard rumors that he had lost his mind, my first reaction was to dismiss them as false. I decided to quietly come and see if it were true. Then, to my complete astonishment, I heard him call my name. So you see, I came here not to cause him any... Okay, you've heard my story. You should...
Seems like we got it wrong. Still, Paimon's not sure we should...
Allez, on se rend à l'exorcisme. C'est là-bas. Hop.
What? You're saying does that mean he's just lost his mind? But how is that possible?
Nanako, please.
I am sorry. With what powers I have, I can find no sign of any malignant spirit having but spirits may take a myriad of forms in this world, many of which I cannot claim to have, and all is certainly not lost. For I received...
Lady Yai? Is that...
The head shrine maiden of the Grand Narukami Shrine?
Correct. Lady Yai is most knowledgeable indeed, and has abundant... I am unable to say for certain whether an evil spirit has possessed your sensei.
Excuse me, Miss Inagi, but I must ask...
That won't be necessary. All that is required of you is your timely... I must leave now, but we will meet soon at the shrine.
Ok, donc il est pas possédé et on peut toujours pas lui parler.
Do you mean to say that Sensei isn't renowned enough?
No, that's not what I meant at all. I just mean this is Lady Yai, the head shrine maiden. Anyway, you should join, given that you've traveled all this way just to meet...
Sure! After all, everyone seems pretty excited about... Who knows? Maybe we'll be able to...
Bon, ce TP pour toujours aller plus vite. Hein. Et on est arrivé au sanctuaire. Bon, ça c'est trop bien. J'ai l'impression que comme il est petit, à chaque fois tu t'arrives au bon endroit au bon moment. Donc ça c'est cool. Les TP où t'arrives et que t'as que 30 mètres à faire, c'est vraiment trop bien. Hop, on gratte la petite miniature, à mon avis ce sera ça. C'est beau en plus avec l'arbre sous forme de renard ou de loup. Ouais, plus renard je dirais.
Do you think that's Lady Yai? Oh, no wonder Junior is so excited. She has a... Also, is it just Paimon? Or did she... it was probably nothing.
Keep away. I gave up the art of the sword. Please.
As you can see, Domon has persisted in this state for some time now. He appears to see those who have lost to him in
Lady Yai, it must be a possession. This is nothing like him at all. In the past, no matter what...
I'm sorry. It is clear to me that your sensei is not possessed by any evil spirit.
But Then yes. This is a change in the person himself. Unable to cope with the tremendous pressure he was under, he suffered a spiritual collapse. With his wits impaired, he fought as one who is thrown into the sea, though he fights back desperately against his predicament. It does nothing to prevent his descent into the... As for what has triggered this change, I believe it must be the loss of his vision. For to be stripped of one's vision is to be stripped of one's ambition.
Stripped of his ambition? But Lady Yai, even without his ambition...
Your school practices make Shisui art. Stillness of mind, freedom from all agitation. What a fine notion. There was once one who claimed to be indifferent to rank and reward, and who fled enraged when defeated by his... Then, what of the one who crossed blades with his own sensei and beloved fellow disciple, and defeated them both? Lady Yai, I'm not sure I am... the path of the sword masters filled with twists and turns. It requires one to take their sword firmly in both hands and cut down the hopes and dreams. Only a deep commitment to his ambition to become the best made it possible for him to rise above the... When that ambition disappeared, he began to doubt himself. As he battled his... Much like a certain fate...
Poor Sensei. To think he's been suffering...
I'm sorry, Father. Since...
That's enough.
Huh? Isn't that odd? Did he follow us the whole way here?
Ansai, why are there two of you? Is that you? You're here for revenge, aren't you? I knew it would come.
You're right to assume that my feelings towards you are far from kindly. It's been so long now that I made peace with it years ago.
Bon, avec son intervention, je pense que ça ira mieux.
I don't think most of the people you beat along the way would hold it against you. On the contrary, when you cut our ambition short, now I know that we can't place our hopes in you any longer. But that is no reason to strip them of theirs. Follow the way of the sword all the way.
But what if one day, the same thing, I put everything I had into trying to become the best? But what if there's a chance they'll end up like me one day? I'd rather they stay where they are.
Have you asked them what they think?
Sensei, after you rescued me from the hands of the pirates, I told myself I can't know whether I will suffer in my future as you do now. I want to keep going until the day that I can stand before everyone with my head...
Nanako's far from the only one. Actually...
Goodness.
You see? You can place the ambition. Being stripped of your ambition is something that's never happened to me.
Voilà, Anzaiki Kari.
But I do know what it feels like. So, just as I once placed my ambitions onto you, you are not in the same position that I was. When I left, I had nothing to my name.
I'm sorry to have made you worry for me, and for the state. I no longer have the resolve to become the best in the world. The emptiness and suffering inside of me will not abate, but as your sensei, I shall commit to imparting unto you This is my promise. And I humbly ask Anzai.
You can count on that. I'd be checking in on you occasionally anyway, but I am now used to the life of a wanderer. I do not belong in the dojo anymore. Well, don't just stand there staring at me.
So even though his ambition was taken away...
Traveler, a moment, please.
Ah.
So, the wind that blows from afar carries fresh life to the... For us to meet now is premature. Nevertheless, you set foot on these islands at precisely the right moment.
La prêtresse qui nous connaît.
I have high hopes for you, child.
Ooh, Lady Yai seems to have taken a real interest in you.
Ouais, il nous suit, c'est stylé.
Seems super mysterious. Paimon's so... We can come back to it another time. For now, we should go...
Bon, on va faire le rapport. Et ce sera bon pour nous. Hop, point de téléportation. Ça va être encore, je pense, une assez longue vidéo. Mais au moins, on aura bien avancé. On aura one-shot les 3. Et ça sera une fin de mission pour nous. Et on aura les éléments dont on a besoin pour continuer.
Oh, Ayaka! Guess who fulfilled all your wishes? Huh? Ayaka!
Traveler, Paimon. It is a pleasure to find— I have heard all about how you helped our three friends. My sincerest thanks to you.
Yeah. Short of getting, Ayaka, how come?
Because now that you have done the 3 things I asked of you, I consider you to be my friends. As you will observe—
Wait a second. But isn't Toma your, servant?
Oh. Paimon, you are most entertaining. Toma is first and foremost—
Oh, okay then. Ayaka?
Thank you both. Back to the matter at hand. You have now witnessed the pain of those perhaps in the eyes of a deity, such thunders roar, lightnings flash, the winds assault, and the rains descent. But I believe that surely you understand. It seems that perhaps now you can appreciate my feelings on all of this. In which case, perhaps you would be willing— You will? Really? Naturally.
All right, bravo, my lady. You were right.
See? I told you she wouldn't reject them. I'd placed my trust in the right person after all. Now then, given that the remainder of our discussion pertains to matters of a more—
Bon bah voilà, c'est une fin de vidéo. On se retrouve la semaine prochaine pour une nouvelle vidéo. On va se laisser sur cette fin. Moi je vous dis bonne semaine. Ciao!
Please continue without me. I'll keep watch.
So, what's the deal with this place anyway? What makes it—
This is land that was gifted to the Yashiro Commission by the Shogun. The Kamisato clan has the exclusive right to plan. Such privileges exist due to the Yashiro Commission's role in managing ceremonial affairs.
Oh, Paimon gets it!
Once the number of ceremonial affairs conducted in the—
Makes sense. Perfect place for a secret base.
In any case, we can talk freely here. The almighty Shogun. I've seen her on but only a few occasions. Most of them formal ceremonies. She inspires awe, commands respect, and exudes— It was her almost complete lack of any emotion. And that's— Of course! We have tried on numerous occasions. Unfortunately, they invariably adopt a stance of unconditional support. It almost makes one wonder whether they had a hand in the show. The issue is this. For the after all, it is but a tiny minority of people who receive visions. Because of this, the attitude of most people toward—
How can they be like that?
Nevertheless, in addition to us—
Resistance? You mean like an army?
Yes. Many who have lost or fear losing their visions have rallied together under Sangonomiya to say a little more about Sangonomiya. Historically, there has always been some— But I do wonder whether there may be some other agenda behind their—
Ooh, Paimon has a question.
Oh? What would you—
Have you got a plan yet to fight the Vision Hunt Decree?
To be honest, we do not.
What?
Please, do not forget that challenging the Vision Hunt Decree is tantamount to challenge—
So what—
Well, for the moment, all we can do is try and— For example, by providing vision bearers with safe refuge, or manufacturing counterfeit visions for them as a contingency measure.
You're telling Paimon that there are people out there who can—
Don't underestimate the talents of the craftspeople in Hanamizaka. To the naked eye, the problem we are facing right now is that Master Masakatsu, who was providing us with counterfeit—
Darn! So they found out—
Yes. We knew it was not a long-term solution, and that it was only a matter of time before— Exactly. I feel the same way. But given mine and Toma's identity— By no means do we intend to... When you are ready, go to Hanamizaka and look for a fireworks shop run by the nut.